I think there's several things that a church needs to understand when they say, all right, this is who we naturally are and this is what we want to do. You begin from listening. You begin from listening to the community where you serve, where God has planted you, where God has placed you. And you begin by ministering to needs that people are articulating are in need. Now, that may not be the need that you see. You might think that they have need of this, but they're telling you, they have a need of X, but they're telling you why. You've got to reach people where they are. And so you need to minister to why. And somewhere along the line, you'll get to dealing with the issue of X. So, if, for example, if someone says, "Well, you know, you think that they have need of they need a food, they need food, they need a food pantry, you want to give out food," but people are telling you, "Well, no, I really have need of health. I don't know where to go to the doctor. I don't know how to basic." Dietary things. There's a lot of illnesses in my family. You might want to hand out food, but the person who you're ministering to might very well be able to access food from some other source that's in the community. And the need that they typically will express is the need that there's a gap for. And people will be receptive to you when they understand that you care about the things that are affecting them. And so I tell churches, when you want to begin with a ministry of compassion, you need to listen. Spend more time listening than you do talking to the community where you are. And there are different ways that you can spend time listening. You can ask questions through surveys. You can have focus groups. You can just, the best way is begin to forge relationships with the members in your community, with residents in your community, wherever people come together. Just begin having conversations and talking to people and hearing where their heart is, and hearing what their needs are. And then you look at the resources that you have available within you in your church, not just monetary resources, but look at how God has equipped your community, your congregation. Who are the skills that are represented in your community? Very often you will find when you look at what needs are and what the skills are, that God's got a complement going on there. God will orchestrate. And if there's a gap, then that's where, not that's where, but we're always dependent upon God to make sure that there's a complement between what the need is and what it is that needs to be accomplished. So you begin by listening, not by kind of telling folks what they need, but listening to what people say their needs are. What I've seen working really well are churches that are seeing a complement between themselves and compassionate ministry centers. And I think that's wonderful because we understand that we're flip sides of the same coin, that we are the church, just operating in different forms and structures, but we're working together. So whether you're, I just this past weekend spent time down in Miami at Miami Bethany Services, and that's a church that is growing tremendously by following a discipleship program down there, but they are also serving the second poorest community in the Miami area, and they are ministering to children and youth in the hundreds, and they are now talking and dreaming about what would it look like if they could open a clinic for the poor in their community, people who don't have access to health care or don't have health care, but are suffering from the ravages of the lack of resources in their community. So not only are they're suffering physically, which eventually has an impact on your spiritual condition as well. So Miami Bethany Service is a great example of one of our ministries. You have all around. You have in Arizona. You have had the pleasure of spending some time with Orangewood Church of the Nazarene and the wonderful work that's happening there between the church and LifeBridge Alliance, which is actually not registered yet as a compassionate ministry center, but they're a nonprofit that's working to meet the needs of that community. There's a whole host of there are other churches. We have Shepherd Community in Ohio, in Indianapolis. You've got ministries that have come out of places like Grove City in Ohio, ministries there, and churches that are engaged in recovery, like Celebrate Recovery, are engaged in ministries having to do with working with the children of those who are incarcerated through Angel Tree and and expanding the ministries beyond just the angel tree, but embracing the family all throughout the year. We've got some really good examples of what's happening around the country. And I want to continue to promote that every church can be involved in compassionate ministries. Your engagement has nothing to do with, and I hope people hear this one correctly, engagement in compassionate ministries has nothing to do with the size of your wallet or your income. Money is a tool for doing ministry. It's not the reason you do ministry or you don't do ministry. Whether or not you're engaged in compassionate ministry is a condition of your heart, the heart of the church. And for that reason, every church, regardless of size, can be engaged. If you're a small church, will you be able to do it all alone? Probably not. But we're not called to do everything alone. We're not lone rangers. You can partner with others in your community, whether in time or in physical resources. But every church can be engaged in compassionate ministries, regardless of size. It's not just for the large church. It's not just for the medium-sized church. It's not just for the church that has access to financial resources. It's for the church that has a heart that breaks for the things that break the heart of God.